have such sights to show you.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Four Dead Losers podcast. We are the Four Dead Losers. I'm Ramiro.
Adam. Justin.
And Amanda.
And today we're going to be talking about Terrifier 2. Yay. On our way to the third one. My most anticipated movie of the year. Adam, non-spoiler thoughts. What did you think of Terrifier 2?
I think I really enjoyed the movie. I have to I know we get to scores. I will be objective and subjective. So subjectively, I thought the movie was really solid. The only one thing I think that hurts it is just the runtime. It has some lengthy moments, but I think it was because they were trying to be more story driven a little bit in some parts, and that kind of dragged. So yeah, those are my thoughts.
Rating out of 10?
Subjectively, I would give it like an 8.5 out of 10, but objectively, I'd have to give it like a 7 because of again the runtime and some pacing things.
That's fair. Justin?
I didn't like the movie on the
Get
second
out.
time.
Yeah.
I like the second time watching it, and maybe it was just the runtime, but it's really long for what it is.
So for those of y'all who are wondering, I think the movie clocks in at 2 hours and 16 minutes.
Yeah, that's like a Marvel movie.
It's the art verse.
It was way too long, and yeah, it was just there were so many scenes where it could have just been cut. It's almost an hour longer than its predecessor film, which clocks in at
No, it was an hour. The other film was an hour and a half.
It was like an hour. It's hour 20.
No, it's an hour and a half. It's an hour and a half.
25. But still, it's almost an hour longer than the other one. With I don't know. I think it had a lot of things that I don't know. So I didn't really care much for the plot. It was really convoluted for no reason, and I don't like where it's going. If I'm being completely honest, it's not something that I particularly enjoy. But I mean, the effects are really good. What's his name? Damien
Leone.
Damien Leone. He's also the effects coordinator. I think he has a talent for what he does in practical effects, but I think honestly it's kind of wasted on this movie. I think it's wasted on the whole thing, if I'm being completely honest. I do like Art the Clown as a character, though. I will admit that he's funny and at times, but I don't think it makes up for just what the whole movie is.
Rating out of 10?
I can give it a 3 or 4. It actually, and it's kind of, I'm actually gonna rescind what I did about the first one too. I remember halfway and I bumped it up to a 7, and I was reflecting on it. I think I was just kind of really in it, in the moment. I think the first one's pretty bad too. I would probably give it a 4, maybe a 5 actually, just because it's not as long. But yeah, I don't like the I don't like the series.
It's okay. Amanda, I know it's been a little bit, but
for being a slasher, I do like the practical effects. I just like the way it looks. I feel like to an extent, it's almost supposed to be a little bit cheesy, and I like that about it. So right now, before we talk about it, I would probably give it a 7 out of 10, just because the runtime was very long. That was another reason why we were let's turn it off. It's gonna be a little while.
Yeah.
But from what I watched, up to that point, I thought it was as good as I remembered it being. So that's probably where I would sit at it right now. 7 out of 10.
Yeah. So I think I have to pull the same thing that Adam did and separate the two, objective and subjective. Personally, I love this movie. I think it's so great. It's just a really good time to watch until you get a little fatigued about some of the scenes. So subjectively, I probably have to give it a 6 out of 10 or something like that. Or sorry, other way. Objectively, a 6 out of 10, right? And then subjectively means just enjoying the movie. I 9, a 9 out of 10. I think it's a lot of fun. There were every time, because so we were talking about this off camera, but when the movie had first come out, Adam and I went to go see it, and then the next week the three of us went to go see it, and then when it came out on streaming, Amanda and I saw it, and then when it got the re-release, we went to go see it again. And then I saw it for the 7th time, whatever, leading up to this episode. So I really enjoy this movie. I just think it's
Is that your favorite movie of all time?
No. My favorite movie of all time actually isn't a horror movie. It's Everything Everywhere All at Once.
So to see
still
that
never
movie,
saw that
I have
one.
to see
Yeah.
it.
It's really good. It's an A24 movie. I know how much you love it.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
It's
No,
like
I've already been on record and say A24 makes great everything else movies except for horror movies. I don't like their horror movies.
It's okay.
Except for like one or two. It's like one or two that are pretty
Yeah.
He's like, I don't like their horror movies, but like I like some of their horror
like
movies.
one or two out of like the 60 in their catalog that
They don't have. I don't
everybody-
think they have like that many.
Yeah,
Maybe like
a few like
10.
Green Room.
that's what I was gonna say. Is that a horror movie? Would you consider that?
I think so.
That's like my favorite movie by A24. It's so good.
Is that on streaming or was it in theaters?
It's on streaming.
just them
Okay.
painting the walls green.
Oh my god.
That's like the best movie ever made. I think.
It's
I gotta watch
so.
it.
Okay, so before we go ahead and get into the spoiler section of the episode, go ahead, like, comment, subscribe, so that way you can come back for later. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and get to the spoiler section, and this is your spoiler warning in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, I like this one so much. Okay, well, the movie basically opens up, right? There's like a bunch of shots of like just a different city and stuff like that, and then we see from like this cloudy whatever alleyway.
That's an alleyway, yeah.
Yeah, we see Art the Clown emerging, with this trash bag of goodies. And then we get like a flashback, right, of him basically the ending of the first movie where he wakes up in the morgue.
Yeah, like wasn't that was like the middle scene of it, wasn't it? Like the mid credits. Or no, that was the end. It was the end.
It was the end, but the ending is when we get the reveal that Victoria is the one from the hospital or whatever. Yeah. So he wakes up in the morgue and he does his like whole like his whole spiel and all that. We see the doctor trying to get away. So at the ending of the first movie, I think Art like grabs him by the throat or something like that. And so here we see that he has like he's bleeding all over the place. He grabs the phone and he dials 911, but having he's choking on his own blood.
Art slices him.
Yeah, so I guess that we should probably have mentioned this before. This movie is extremely gory. I don't know if we're gonna do it justice and stuff like that, but if you're a little squeamish, we get it.
It's definitely for gore fans.
Yeah, that's a warning,
Yeah.
right?
There's a lot of gore. Speaking of which, right after like the doctor calls 911 and he's choking on his own blood, Art the Clown pokes the back of his head where like the bullet wound from the first movie came through, and he like feels his brain and he gets the blood and he writes "Art was here" on like a mirror. Which is great. And then the doctor is still trying to call the phone. Art like hands over to him and starts walking, and he takes the phone out of his hand, I think, right, and just like click.
No, it's up. It's still open because it's still through all the way through. He grabs the hammer.
Oh, you're right.
He grabs the hammer.
You're right. He grabs the hammer.
A medical hammer. It's like a medical one to help crack open bones.
It's so dumb. It's not even that strong. Like,
well, I think he's supernatural. I think it got established at the end of the first one, as well as like.
Oh yeah, he came back from the dead.
Well, yeah, but that and then again, just tying into like All Hallows Eve, like again the idea that I think again no spoilies because I don't even know. Again, I don't read too much into the lore. I kind of like making my own opinions on it, but pretty sure the idea is that like the first scene of All Hallows Eve has a huge tie-in to him. So like it's a very big supernatural thing. So for him, like just that's I think already been clearly established. Even like I want to say even like near the end of the first movie, not even like the ending itself, but like you could tell that he was like had some extraness to him. Because then he did. I mean, the saw itself, like you have to have superhuman strength to
like saw someone in half.
Yeah,
I guess, right?
Especially with like it was
like a hand saw. It was like a hand saw. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think this is the kind of film where you justify things. It's literally it just happens. Yeah, I think you throw all logic out the window with this movie, like the whole series.
Yeah. So Art the Clown gets the hammer, just like you're saying, and he beats the crap out of the doctor, right? Like he smashes him in the face, and he's kind of like stuns the doctor.
He's missing an eye, by the way.
Yeah, Art is still missing an eye. And then the doctor's on the ground, and then Art like pulls the eye out.
Puts it in his eye.
He does the Naruto.
He puts the doctor's eye in his skull and then like looks at the camera and has like this wild smile.
Yeah, it's like
right?
the eyes like didn't go all the way.
Yeah, it's like all popped out.
And then he turns back to the doctor and finishes the job, right?
I think he even takes the eye out. He just kind of like tosses it out.
He takes the other one, and then he what does he do? He bends over, he splits the doctor's skull in half.
I think that's where I was like, okay, a little extra, but that's kind of the movie.
That's the whole movie. What do you mean that's a little extra? That's the whole movie. That's the whole movie.
And Justin's right. The movie ends right here. Well, yeah, he splits the doctor's skull in half. He takes out his brain and just kind of like throws it or whatever.
For no reason.
Yeah, and then we come back to Art. Right, he's walking out of the alley. They kind of do like back and forth where it's clips of him walking out of the alley and him torturing the doctor. So then he ends up walking to a laundromat because he doesn't want to look like, you know what I mean? He doesn't want to look guilty.
Yeah,
I guess.
Right. No, I'm just kidding.
So he goes to a laundromat and there's like some biker dude, right, like sleeping right next to the door. We get scenes of Art getting in his birthday suit.
He stole the change from the doctor too. Like,
yeah. I mean, we know he's not above stealing, right? He stole the tips from the first movie. He stole the doctor's pocket change.
You gotta do his laundry, I guess.
And so he gets into his birthday suit. He puts all of his dirty, bloody clothes into the laundromat or the washing machine, and then puts the spin cycle or whatever. And then we get clips of him like he's reading a newspaper, and I think it's talking like there's an article talking about like how like a family of 4 died in like a horrendous car crash or something like that, and he's like laughing at it all silently. And then there's like some kind of power like surge thing, and like the washing machine, you can hear it stop.
Oh yeah, he gets like mad, right?
Yeah, he's like, bro, what the hell?
Yeah, anyway, he does like a. I like again the facial expressions. It's kind of like this dull like I don't know how to do the face, but it's just kind of like irritated, but it's just like funny the way it looks.
I'll give the movie that. He makes really good faces. He's a good expressionist.
Yeah, it has to be. He has to can't talk.
Yeah. And then he like turns around the corner, right? And there's like the little girl, the little Art,
pale girl.
Pale girl, that's her name.
I mean, was she in the first movie?
No.
Okay.
This is literally her first appearance in the thing.
Yes, and I don't think, from what I've seen from the trailers of the third, I don't think she makes an appearance in the third. I think it's him and we'll get to that later.
Okay. We get introduced to the pale girl. If you would imagine an 11-year-old girl dressed like a killer clown and
Art
black
the
and
Clown.
white.
He's literally Art the Clown.
Yeah, that's what it is. And she like smiles at him. They're like, and she's kind of whatever. And then she like,
he's almost shocked himself. He's like,
what?
I guess he waves at her like,
yeah, he waves at her, and then there's like
bile just shoots out.
Oh,
that I was like, all right.
Wow. And then he like he kind of looks away, right? And then she like comes, and then she starts like looking at him, and like then she pokes his eye, like because it's still
the doctor's eye. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And like no. He took the doctor's eye out. It's his missing one. It's his missing one. So she like pokes at it. And he
kind of gets it back. That's the thing.
He grows it back. He has a whole year to recover.
And she goes, she squeezes his nose.
Oh yeah, she squeezes the nose, and they both do the silent laugh. Like,
yeah, and they start playing patty cake.
Yeah. So, he does the patty cake. They kind of synergize for a second. And this is where when he first walks in, good to note that like there is a guy completely like just asleep, passed out at the front door. Which how somebody opening the loud laundromat door with the bells like ding, ding, like doesn't wake up. But then like when he's silently doing patty cake, he wakes up and so we see Art without the pale girl. He's just by himself, and he's physically like patty caking in his birthday suit by himself, with blood all over his face, and his head is perfectly clean.
Yeah. And then we cut to basically him zipping up his suit back
with the hanger. He grabs the hanger.
Yeah,
he cleans. Right, he has the box.
I was like,
he does like the hip sway.
I was like, this guy's cleaning the laundry.
And then he leaves, and then come to find out because they didn't fully show the full broom. He broke the broom in half, and he hit the guy from the top of the head down. No, his head to the throat.
Yeah, stabbed him to the
Yeah,
throat.
and then when he drops the mop down, you can see that it's broken.
You can see it's broken, and the biker dude has his mouth open, and you can see the rest of the stick in his mouth.
That's crazy.
So I had a question about that. So when the power went out, it didn't really go out, right? Because when it shows the biker dude looking at Art, the power's on.
No, I don't think it ever goes out.
No, I think it's just kind of like
they're still on.
It's a glitch. It's not like the lights turning off, just like a glitch, like because the machine gets messed up is what's happening.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
We get the title card, Terrifier 2. Woo! Everyone's excited. And then we get scenes of our protagonist, which is Sienna, and she's working on her cosplay. We'll find out later that it's essentially like an angel warrior that her dad used to
This
draw
is
for her.
one of like 3 scenes where it's just a very lengthy lo-fi like music.
Oh
Like
yeah.
she's just making the costume.
Yeah, I want to say like this, it was anytime the lo-fi music kicked in was when I
Yeah.
thought the scene was unnecessarily too long.
Yeah.
This is the first one was when I get it, credits, whatever have to happen. I kind of
it's the opening credits. that
I
it's-
kind of almost wish that occurred during some of the beginning stuff, lightly, like in good places, but like
Yeah.
it was lengthy for the sake of being lengthy.
Yeah.
That was one of the spots that I didn't like because it just took forever to just get that ball rolling.
Yeah. And then so Sienna's working on her costume or whatever, and then we skip to the mom whose name is Barbara, and she's cooking dinner, right? She has like a customer service job for an insurance agency, I think. She's talking to the customer while trying to balance dinner, and then
Mhm.
daughter's walking in asking questions, and so she's under a lot of stress. And you can see it in her dialogue sometimes.
Stock horror mom.
Yeah, stock horror.
Pretty much, yeah. Sienna asks for something or whatever, and then the mom's like, "Oh, can't you see I'm busy?" And then, so then we jump to them eating dinner, and this is where we get introduced to her brother Jonathan.
Yeah.
And so they're all around the table, and I think Barbara makes a comment about like, "Hey, have you figured out what you want to dress up for Halloween or whatever?" And he says the Miles County Clown, and then Sienna's
Yeah.
like, "No, you can't do that." And then it becomes this whole thing of like, "Well, why not?" The Miles County
yeah,
Clown
it's Art the
is
Clown.
Art the Clown. Yeah, so he wants to dress up as someone who, in their world, murdered a bunch of people.
And this was the first cue that was also said too that this was a year later because they talked about it and
Yes.
kept on referencing it as last Halloween last year.
I didn't even
Yeah.
catch that. I'm gonna be completely honest.
You
I thought this happened
it was the
pretty
same
like
day?
not like maybe like a couple days later or something.
They had Halloween 2-3 days in a row.
Yeah.
Well, Jordan asked, he was like, "Is this like a Michael Myers thing? Like, they only come out every Halloween?"
Well, not
Not
anymore.
anymore. Terrifier 3 is a Christmas movie,
Dang, debug.
and that's 5 years later. They say
Oh,
that in the
Yeah,
trailer.
they also say that. Yeah.
Mhm.
It
It's
comes out
crazy
during
because
the
Jonathan
movie.
and Sienna look exactly the same.
Yeah.
And so they, so in this conversation, right, Sienna's saying, "No, you can't do that." Jonathan's like, "Well, why not?" And X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
But Barbara says a line which I think is it's scream level meta. I don't know if you caught it, but Barbara, which is the mom again, she says, "God forbid he attacked somebody in our family and people celebrated him." And that's what we're doing right now, kind of. But yeah, I thought that was funny. Every time I watch this movie, I catch something that I didn't catch before, and that was
pretty,
that was something that I caught this
The seventh
watch.
time watching it.
Yeah, the 7th time. Did you catch it? Exactly.
True. Got me there.
Dinner's over. Okay, whatever. And then we get shots of Sienna talking with Barbara. Basically, Sienna's expressing concern about Jonathan wanting to dress up as Art the Clown, right? Saying that, like, "Hey, that's not cool, X, Y, Z." While this conversation is going, we get little clips of Jonathan, and he's like looking through a journal that he has, which we find out what it is later, and looking up articles about the massacre that happened in the events of the first Terrifier movie.
Did Art, was he pronounced dead?
They said that he was, but then like I think they'd also reported that like
The
some
body was
the
The body went missing.
missing. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Which makes sense, right? Because at the beginning
Somebody
of this
would've-
movie, we saw him
Yeah.
walk out of the.
Yeah,
and,
I was
the
wondering-
police in the intro scene too did like drive by, like going to that scene. He just waited in the alley as they crossed, and then he just walked out. Like,
Well, I guess that makes sense why you would have been confused, because in the beginning, that's taking place in the morgue.
Yeah.
Which
He was
is-
at. But
which is
then
the last
movie
movie.
continues.
Yeah.
No, so that's what I'm saying. I get that that's why you probably thought it was
Yeah.
happening in the same
but he
place.
also
Well,
thought
I
it
mean,
was Halloween.
there's other things too that happen, which we'll find out later, or we'll talk about in a little bit. But they happen like the ending of the first movie, and the beginning of the first movie happened when this movie's going on.
Mm.
And so after this conversation with, "Oh, I'm concerned about Jonathan," and all that other stuff, we get shots again, going back to Sienna, and she's working back on her cosplay or whatever. Jonathan comes into the room asking for some super glue because he broke his hat.
To glue the hat,
Yeah.
the little hat.
Yeah. And so they pretty much don't really talk about anything else, right? Just that.
Well, he was just like, yeah, thank you. It's kind of one of those setting up, like, even though she thinks he's like ridiculous, is like the sibling thing, right? Like she just wants him to be normal or whatever, and he's kind of like in his weird, awkward phase where, you know, he could go down the wrong path. So she's just trying to like be somewhat like, hey, let's not do that. It's not cool. But at the same time, like showing that, okay, like, hey, we're still cool. Like we're still good siblings, right? No bad blood.
That's where she tells him though, like, do you think dressing up like him would make him like be cordial with you?
Oh,
like,
you're right.
Oh, yeah.
You're right.
Oh, that's why he dresses up, right? That's what she thinks. Like,
that's why she thinks he's dressing
yeah,
up like
because
that.
he won't, so he won't die.
Yeah, Jonathan expressed some concern about like
Dying.
him coming back.
Yeah.
Right, like dude, they never found his body. Yeah.
Yeah, like.
So there's your answer about.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, she's like, yeah, do you think he would come back to the same place? And she was like, I doubt that he would come back to the same literal area that he was just in. Or
Then
whatever.
that's home.
And then the movie ends right there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He doesn't come back.
And then so after that conversation, we enter probably one of like the biggest scenes in the movie, right? Sienna's dream. So she basically, so at this point we're like 30 minutes into the movie. We're a long way in. And so Sienna's falling asleep watching horror movies or whatever, and then we enter her dream, and in her dream we get the shots of the clown cafe, right?
Yeah,
the food truck or whatever.
Greatest hit, top Apple. What is it? Apple top
Apple
10.
Music,
Yeah,
yeah.
Music top 10.
Billboard Hot 100.
Yeah.
It's being Taste right now by
Yeah.
Carpenter,
Yeah.
the Clown Cafe. So to basically set the scene is like the area is not very big. If I had to guess, it's probably like 50 by 50 feet or something like that. And
It's like it's a TV / movie set area with the choppa wall, right? The wall there with the Clown Cafe food truck. They have a playground that's very small within
it's like
that.
the halfway point separating the two.
Yeah, and then on
areas.
the side of that wall, again, one of those weird, important to note maybe, but not really, is like off to the side where like the set would like end. They have like a almost like gated area, but it's not closed because there's people are able to walk in and out of that area
to get to the Clown Cafe.
Yeah, and they show like different like shots of people. I think even as it's going through the different shots, there's that, and then there's another set right next to it that's filming for a cereal.
Yeah.
It's for a cereal,
Art
Krispies, and it's interesting because I think this is one of those scenes where I think everybody like has been trying to like figure out like significance of each part, because I think there is for sure, because they revisit that at the end of the movie, but I think the one, we'll get to it. There's the one that I still can't figure out. I think I've kind of, the other ones make all sense, but like the one with the nun and the homeless guy, like that makes no sense to me. There's the people that are filming the serial, which is like a kid. There's a group of people on the playground that they don't show, but they do show. Kids, right? They do show. Yeah, they're adults. They're like weird adults, but they're dressed like
kids,
like kids you would see on TV, like this weird costume,
like the 90s, like the 90s.
And you do see Sienna. You do see Sienna. She's at the top of like the jungle gym, like the little nest, if you will, and she's like laying down, but you can't tell it's her. You just see the legs and like the high tube socks. And then again, they pan to like other people that look like they work on set, like, but they don't have headset. One maybe has a headset, but most of them don't. They're just kind of there. They're just random people.
And then the person singing the song says like, "Oh, and then there's Art the Clown, everybody," and
everybody's like,
and he does like his wave.
So we have a special guest, Andrew. He comes out of the food truck.
Yeah, he does the hand.
He does the hand, and then he comes around on the tricycle.
Which the recall from the first movie, the tricycle. He doesn't crash it this time, though.
No, he doesn't. But then he gets off of the tricycle, doing his old dog and pony show or whatever. And then he starts giving gifts to the different... what's up?
I was going to say second recall, and I brought that up in the first one. He does like the...
Oh,
the way he hands it to people.
So, yes, exactly like Adam's saying. So he gives the gifts to adults or whatever that are on the
children.
The men children or whatever.
People children.
And they all get like real actual.
Yeah, they get like lollipops and popcorn. That fucking girl that was eating it was like really weird.
It's
She
like,
was like,
Yeah,
she's like, tells what the is going on.
And then just like Adam said, he goes up to Sienna and he has like a box that's like wrapped in newspaper.
Yeah,
Stuff
newspaper.
like
It's
that.
obviously the worst.
And he presents to her like that.
And it's just like the ring, the way he does the ring. So I think that was like how I felt like he kind of like picks somebody that's going to be like a person of interest, right? Like, except this is in a dream world, not like an actual building, real life type deal.
Yeah. And Sienna's very insistent about not taking it until he finally shoves it in her hands, right? And then walks away or whatever.
But I love everybody when I get like the claps and they do like the happy claps. They're like so weird. All of them, they just like full hand palm and they're just like really awkwardly fast. It's
Like
so weird.
Animal
Animal Crossing.
That's funny.
Tom looks in the back collecting coins.
And so she unwraps the box. Art's going around doing his thing, and then there's a beating heart inside of the box, and it starts like leaking this black ichor.
I mean, it's like I always keep on saying it's like bile, like it's like weird black,
It's pretty gross.
Yeah.
Until it finally starts to like overflow in the box, and then Art like goes into his bag of tricks and pulls out a freaking Tommy gun.
Third reference to the first movie. Our cousin's least favorite part of the first one, where he pulls out his Glock from his leg.
He upgraded it.
He upgraded to a Tommy gun.
No,
both.
he upgraded
it.
He upgraded it. It's not a pistol anymore.
He pulls out his Tommy gun and shoots everybody up.
And then they all like too wild too. They're just like the crazy fake acting.
There's a funny one. Like if you pay attention, you can see it. But like they show this guy's face getting shot up.
Oh yeah, and it gets caved in.
It gets caved in, and then they cut to somebody else getting shot, and then they show the same shot of the face getting caved in by the bullet.
And then twice.
Yeah.
The other thing of note, which is pretty kind of gruesome too, is the kid eating the cereal as he's doing it starts bleeding from the mouth, and it turns out there's glass and razor. Yeah, like so, kind of like the hey Halloween, people hide stuff in your candy, type deal.
Yeah, and then Sienna, she gets shot in the thigh. And so she's like, oh,
yeah, crawling. She falls off, right? She falls off.
She falls off the jungle gym or whatever the heck. She's the only one left alive, but Art doesn't know because he's too busy reaching to his bag of tricks to get a flamethrower.
She's not the only one left alive.
Oh, you're right. The singer is still alive, and then Art goes up to her
and he does it again. He's flamethrowers first.
But she's just singing.
Yeah, no, she's just doing the banjo, but she's just on fire. She's doing like the little
unfazed,
and then Art starts like
just starts dancing. Yeah,
he does it again, right?
No, he just does it once, but he just does deep dances. He just said it, and then he hears Sienna. Yeah, and I think this is the weird turning point because he has like a realization of like, one, you're still alive, but two, like almost like. Not that you shouldn't be here, but something's not right. Like he's upset and unsettled by something because like he sees her, and then that's when he tries to like go towards her.
Yeah, he starts walking towards her.
And then they re-show the like her in her bed squirming and like sweating profusely, and then all of a sudden her wings, like I don't think we talked about her cosplay. It was like all the feathery wings, just like.
Well, that's something. So something happens before then, and then the wings catch on fire.
She goes to the other set.
She goes to the other set and she
pulls out a gun.
Box. She pulls out the
sword.
sword.
I thought,
she pulls out a sword and the exact moment she pulls out the sword, Art shoots her with the flamethrower, and
it bounces back.
It bounces back, and then the wings catch on fire.
Yeah, that's right. And yeah, when she reaches in the box, she thinks. First of all, why she's reaching in the box, I don't know. But she like
just knows.
Yeah. Well, no, she reaches in and she has like
she knows like
razor blades and maggots all over. Yeah. And then the wings catch on fire. IRL.
Well, like the candles like shoot up in flame. Is like literally like WWE Kane.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Like jeez. The pyro effects.
And then the entire family wakes up because the fire alarm is going off. Mom to the rescue. Here comes Barbara putting out the fire, whatever. And then there's a screaming match pretty much, right? Like, why did you go to sleep with the candles on? And then Sienna's like, I did it. Why don't you believe me? And Jonathan's watching from like the
edge. Like, Jonathan, go to your room.
Yeah. What did she say? He goes, yeah. She goes, go to bed. You have school in the morning. You mean I still have to go back? What did I say?
That's the best. Classic overacting for him. Like the, I reached my limit. I can't. Every scene, right? Just I reached my limit. I can't.
It's like she's always screaming.
Yeah, she really is.
She's under a lot of stress.
That was the funniest line, though. You mean I still have to go?
Oh man. And then we cut to Art the Clown. After this scene closes or whatever, they decide to sleep wherever. Art is now in like some freaking basement.
He's in like I think it's the same place he was in at the start of the first movie. It's like his like, home base.
Yeah,
his
which I think we find out later on.
Which
right?
yes, and I also again has very similar layout to All Hallows Eve first movie, like that. Same as the first movie, like that, like awkward kind of like industrial basement, long hallways, kind of like weird setup, but kind of abandoned, but kind of not like.
Yeah, and he's putting together this new weapon. It's essentially like if you got the leg of a table and you just stuck a bunch of knives and forks in it.
It's like he was hammering it.
It's a makeshift like mace, pretty much.
Yeah,
a makeshift Morning Star. There we go.
As he's doing this, the pale girl is turning on the TV.
That's not even plugged in, right? That's not even plugged in.
The cord is all chewed up, but somehow it powers on. I don't know. But the TV that we're watching is showing the interview of Monica and Victoria.
Yeah.
So this TV set that we're seeing is the opening scene from the first Terrifier movie when it's the crappy old TV that's cutting in and out.
So basically, it was her watching it. So that's what we saw from the first movie.
Yeah. And then Art the Clown, what is he? He like points at the TV and then he points at himself and he like does this like silent laugh.
Silent laugh. But then she says, "Oh, do you think he's still out there because the body was never recovered or whatever?" And she's like, "No, he's dead. I know he's dead." And then he gets mad and he like kicks the TV.
Yeah.
Just like basically implodes.
And then we cut to Jonathan at school at the next day, unfortunately.
Which I think is really funny because he does have Superwoman straight. Because think about all the foam he has to get through from the giant front rubber part of the clown shoe. Because it shows
his
that
foot is that big.
Yeah, his foot just
takes up the whole shoe.
And he's gonna take off. He's gonna take off his shoes. He's gonna
be giant feet.
Touch somebody with big toes.
I wouldn't be surprised. Actually.
So we cut to Jonathan, and he's at school. His friends find a dead possum behind the dumpster or something like that. And they're poking it with a stick. Gross. They call some girl to come look at it, and then she comes, screams, and then we get in trouble.
Principal, just walks over there. It's like, "What are y'all doing? What? Get out of here!"
Then Jonathan's in class. Yay, whatever. Asks to go to the restroom. So he goes to get a drink of water. As he's like drinking the water, he sees like the pale girl skipping down the hall, and he's like, "What the heck is that?
Let me go follow."
Yeah, let me go follow. And so he goes, whatever. Like the school is giant.
Yeah.
And he sees Art the Clown and the pale girl playing with the dead possum, and they're like pulling out all of its guts and stuff like that.
Kind of
gross. Yeah. And he drops his hall pass, and that's what gets their attention.
He just goes,
they
he's like, "Oh!" like just freaks out. First of all, he caught it. He let me catch this. And then he runs off, and the principal, literally just walks by.
What are you doing? He just runs.
Yeah, he just runs past, and then there's just a possum just there on the ground.
And then he gets in trouble.
Gets
sent home.
And then we cut to Sienna at school, and now she's talking with her friends. She's getting lunch or whatever, and she's talking with her friends
about the Halloween party.
Allie. So one friend's Allie, and the other one's name is Brooke. And so they're talking whatever about what's going on later on that night, and then Brooke brings up "Hey, did you hear what happened with Monica during the interview? She had the survivor from the first movie, and then
she got her face the kill, right? Her kill from the first movie.
Yeah. Gross, and then she supposedly attacked her. Now she's unrecognizable and all this stuff.
Yeah, I think she killed her.
Yeah, she killed her. Yeah.
So during this conversation, Sienna has a panic attack, and this is where she reveals that their house caught on fire or whatever. And then now we're back at the house, and at the house, Jonathan's in trouble.
Yeah.
Which is funny because early in the movie, Sienna tells the mom, "Don't be surprised if we find a dead animal in his room." And then he got in trouble.
Well, then that, and then the mom defended him at first, like earlier scene, because she's like, hey,
he's not gonna be a bad.
Well, yeah, and like you also used to like, what did she say?
Cut the heads off of minnows.
Minnows. That's freaking.
What are
Like,
minnows?
that's
They're little fish.
Yeah.
so, but then it flips, right? She the mom is like getting after him, like, go to your room, and like, and he's just like, but it wasn't me, I promise. And then, yeah, she does, and then Sienna comes, and then like they talk it out, and then Sienna's like the friendly one, right? Like tries to help him out.
And then we get to the costume store. Yay, right? Sienna's.
This is probably like this is my favorite scene.
Yeah,
Like,
this is
my
the
favorite
most
scene.
TikTok scene.
Yeah, this is my favorite scene.
So Sienna's costume caught on fire, so she needs a new one, right? So they go to her and Allie go to this costume store to get whatever they need, and so Sienna's like trying on these different like pairs of wings or whatever, and then Allie's like, oh hey, I'm gonna call, my mom's calling, let me go talk to her. Where did you say we were gonna be tonight? And she's like, oh, at whatever house party. Okay, cool. So as Allie is going upstairs and leaving the store, she bumps into Art. And then she's like, oh, wow, nice costume.
Yeah, because she's on the phone, right? She gets a phone call, yeah.
And then Art, like, tips off his hat, right? He's like, thank you. And then back with Sienna downstairs, she's like, you know, oh, I'm going to get these pairs of wings or whatever. And she turns around and she sees Art in the hallway.
He's leaning on the
leaning
wall.
Is it, I try to remember, is this the wave or is this the eyebrow?
Yeah.
I think it's both.
Yeah.
No, because he does it in the restroom.
No.
scene.
The wave is in the restroom.
Okay, so this is the eyebrows. He does the...
Yeah. Like, he's like leaning like he's trying to be cool,
Yeah,
right?
the eyebrows. He just does the eyebrows.
Like he's trying to pick her up. It's stupid.
And so Sienna rightfully is creeped out.
Because she's in like a basement area.
Yeah.
The store is famous Halloween store, by the way, in New York. Is that correct? Is it?
Oh, it's a real Halloween store?
Yeah, it's a real Halloween store. It's a very popular one.
That's cool.
And so yeah, there's like a, I guess like level that's on the street level, and then there's like
a
a
basement.
that they get to.
With only probably like one exit, right?
Yeah, it's
the
just that one
exit is the
stairwell.
one that Art is blocking.
Yeah.
And so
Oh,
she
yeah,
has
yeah.
to-
He's like he's there, kind of blocking, but he's still like he leaves like a third of the way, and then
Yeah.
she tries to like slowly walk out, and he just kind of like doesn't move. He just kind of stays there, lean, and he just kind of scooches past him. She's like, yeah, and he just like he does the he kind of looks. It's pretty funny.
She runs upstairs. She almost walks out without paying, but then the employee is like, "Hey, XYZ," and so she starts to do the whole checkout process or whatever, right? And then as she's getting rung up, she realizes that she left her bag downstairs, and so here comes Art to the rescue.
Don't even see that. He just drops it because it's just like it's a jump scare almost.
No, she says she's like, I forgot mine, and then he drops it. Yeah,
wow, dude. And then he just walks off. Not even say anything.
He walks to the glasses.
Yeah, he does like. Then he do too. He does like a. He walks over there and does like a.
Like he's looking, yeah. He's like looking, yeah.
Pretty funny. I love his whole body in this.
And I think the first thing he gets is some like thing, right, where he goes
he's
that
like
and makes a
spinning
noise,
it, yeah.
and kind of noise, and Sienna's like getting more and more freaked out, and then he puts the
party thing. What is it called? The
party
blower.
Yeah. Like, sir, you're gonna have to pay for those.
You put your mouth on.
Well, no. It's before. Those are after. Before that, he does the glasses because she's trying to pay and just get out of there.
Yeah.
She's trying to pay and get out of there, and the guy's like taking his time. And like she just keeps on looking over her shoulder.
I like how
and Art just has different glasses. He has the hands one.
Things like that.
Yeah, he has the hands. He has
that's the best.
He has the sunflower glasses, which I have. That's the most popular one. Is the sunflower one, and then he has the googly eyes. And he just kind of like he open mouth. He's like just and then he puts those away, and then he does the ratchet.
And then he gets in trouble.
That's what it's called, ratchet.
Yeah, he does a ratchet, and then he does the whistle, and he's like, "Sir, you need to pay for that." And he goes, he shoots it out.
And then the employee is like, "Oh, hey, let me get you a bag."
Bigger bag. He's like, "No, I'm okay." He's like, "No, it'll only be a second. It's just right here." And it's like not right there. He goes like far away.
Disappears. But then this is when
I like this scene. This scene's funny right here. Yeah, she's like, "Please don't."
He like scolds. Like that. And then he has the horn right in her ear.
I like this. This is probably my favorite scene right there. Yeah.
So he's honking.
Which again, recall from the end of the first movie when he did that to the thing, to the door.
He did a new horn.
Yeah.
That's so funny. And then like the employee like gets mad at him.
Right? Yeah, he's like, "Hey, if you're gonna be a problem, I'll ask you to kick you out of here." And he's just like,
yeah, he's like, "Okay, I'm sorry."
Yeah.
Sienna pays, she leaves, and then Art like he
goes to lock the door.
Yeah, he follows her to the exit, locks the door, and then comes back, right? And he like pushes the horn towards the employee.
What he says to me, $14.50, and he pulls out the change.
Yeah,
the change is
the
gone.
change. And so Art like has his bag of tricks, and he pulls out a bunch of stuff from the bag. Right?
He pulls out like a little bit of change
and
first, and then he pulls out all the weapons. I bought a glass bottle.
bottle, and the employee's like, "Yo, what the hell is going on?"
Yeah, he's like,
here?
"Sir, I'm about to ask you to leave," and then he like
stabs
flips
him
out
with the bottle, right?
No, I thought he grabs him, he flips him. He's like,
he hits him with the glass bottle.
I thought he stabs him like right there. Doesn't
Not yet. No, I think he hits him first.
He hits him first.
Shoves him over the table.
Yeah, pulls him over the table. He's on the ground.
And he flips. He a whole grown man like across like a counter.
And this guy isn't small.
Forearms only. Just picks him up and just slams him. Like it's crazy.
Then he stabs the broken glass bottle in his face. We get back and forth scenes between Art terrorizing this guy and Sienna and Allie in the store. They're basically having a conversation.
Stock supermarket.
Supermarket thing. And she's like, "Did you change your medication? Is that why you're feeling weird?" Okay, whatever. Okay, cool. Art, the clown.
Terrorizing this
guy. He like cuts the dude's head off.
He does, yeah. He stabs this guy.
There's always at least one
of these. Bottle. He's like on the ground, whatever. He gets the cleaver and then like cleaves his neck, right? And the guy, you see like the ooze, the dude's blood start oozing out, and then he cuts off this guy's head.
Like only a couple of swipes, right? It's just like and it's like good. Dang.
and then we get a shot of like this mom and her son trying to come into the store, but they see that it's locked and it's closed, and then Art the clown and he's holding the head facing the entrance, and they think it's like
life. They're like it's life play.
So now we're back at home with Sienna, and she's talking with Jonathan, and it's basically like it's a conversation like, "Hey, I'm worried about you, XYZ," right?
It wasn't me.
Yeah. And Jonathan's like, "Here, I have something to show you," and he pulls out the journal, and we find out that the journal is actually their dad's sketchbook, right? And this is where we find out that their dad had passed,
right? And then she was showing too, like I think Sienna got mad at him because she's like, "How long have you had this?" Because she wanted something from dad and didn't have that, and that would have been good because she's like kind of the artist of the family. And he shows like not only his old drawings, but he also shows like the art and how the dad drew Art the Clown, and kind of a similar drawing to the terrible second movie of All Hallows Eve. It's kind of like that same face except without the watercolors. And I want
we get like the drawings of the kills in the first movie.
And it also newspaper clip. Which is odd because it seemed like he made it seem like he died like years ago, but if he had newspaper clips, it had to have happened only a few months ago.
But yeah, so then mom walks in and mom informs Sienna about why she's mad, right? Like she thinks that Jonathan brought this dead possum to school or whatever.
There's one thing to know: the last photo is but the drawings of Sienna.
The character.
Yeah. There's also I think I can't remember if it was when he was looking it up on his own at one point, or if it was in the book. I think it was in the book. They had showed a missing girl at the carnival.
Yes, and it was that girl. Yeah.
Well, that's what we assume. That's the assumption.
Yeah.
But
it looks like her. There's a picture of her, I think.
There's a picture of her.
And it looks like the girl.
That's the assumption, though. I don't think
the weird girl.
Yeah.
And so Sienna, like you can tell in this conversation that she like wants to believe Jonathan, right? Like he wasn't the one to do it or whatever. And Jonathan's very insistent about like her staying home tonight instead of going out to party or whatever. And
she's
then
nah.
Yeah, pretty much. She's like, "Nah, I'm okay."
Stop.
Yes.
And then we get another so that scene ends. We get a conversation with Sienna, and she's talking to Barbara. Here she says like that she believes Jonathan, and then the mom's like, "Oh, this morning he was the Zodiac killer. Now you believe him, or whatever."
Again, like they flip who's trusting of him or who like feels like he's okay, but like defensive. They're being defensive.
And then like this is when we get like trick or treaters basically knocking on the door, right? And then Barbara's like, "Go answer the door or whatever, give out candy."
Long lo-fi scene. This one, right?
Kind of, yeah. We get Allie, who again is Sienna's
friend that was at the store.
Yeah, we see her at her house giving out Halloween candy, and in the background, which I guess not the background because they actually fully show it, but there's like this creepy black van.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking about like the free candy types of vans,
Yeah.
but it's painted all black. And then those trick-or-treaters leave, and then there's another knock at the door, and then we see that it's Art when she opens the door, and she's like, "Oh, hey, you're the dude from the Halloween costume." And he like nods, and he has his bag open.
The trash bag, giant trash bag.
Giant trash bag.
That holds all the weapons.
And it pointed towards her, and she's like, "I'm not giving you candy, it's for kids only." It closes the door on his face. He knocks on the door. We're talking like a stranger's type knock. Like he like bangs on the door. And then she gets upset, right? She's like, "What the heck, dude? Get out of here!" And he's like, doesn't say anything, but he's like, "I want candy."
He's moving the bag.
Yeah, he's moving the bag like this. And then this is when she's like, she gives in. She's like, "Fine, you can have your candy."
Yeah, she said, "Will you leave if I give you candy?" And he does like a smiling nod.
Yeah. And then she gives him candy, and this is when we get a shot of what it looks like inside of his bag. I don't know if y'all saw this.
Yeah,
but
There's a bunch of weapons, yeah.
Giant, like a whole links
it's
of
filled
chain.
to the brim.
Yeah.
With links of chain, links of metal chain.
Yeah, and saws, all these other things, and it's like...
And she's just like, "Okay, I gotta go."
Yeah, closes the door on him.
And then he just throws it over his back and just
And he walks off. And then we're back to Sienna. She's giving Halloween candy or whatever. And then the news is on, right? And then like the news reporter is like saying about, I think they're talking about what happened with Monica and Victoria during the interview. And then there's like a little clip, right, where she says something. I forgot what she says. Something about like the news anchor mentions Sienna's name. She says like, "You, Sienna," and then catches her attention.
Yeah.
And then the news anchor goes on like nothing ever happened.
Yeah. Just a little
kind of trippy,
yeah, a little jump
trippy.
Scare kind of thing.
Yeah.
What else? I'm trying to remember what other movie had done that too, where they had like the creepy things on the TV for a second, and then it like I think it was It. Might have been It.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was It.
Oh,
or
kill
like
them all.
Yeah.
Kill them all.
Yeah.
And so Sienna, rightfully freaked out, goes to her room, takes some medication, which we find out later is Xanax. I think.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And goes to lay down. And then this scene, we get a montage of basically her getting ready for the party.
That was so long.
This
That's the only movie
Sienna?
when we get to that point. Yeah, when we get to that point, I'm like, "Oh, okay, hurry up!" Like, 'cause it's just like a whole like sequence of nothing. It's like, okay,
a lot of that.
she's gonna take a shower. She's gonna get ready. She's gonna put the things in her hair. So, like, I get it. I understand why. It just could have probably been trimmed down, like
They
at
could have
least, like at least a third. Yeah,
They could have easily cut like a third of the movie
They
out.
could have
Yeah.
probably just cut it to her, like, and then you're gonna.
Yeah,
you just
it
go-
was-
I think it was one of those, like, I don't know. It almost felt like they wanted to really like almost build like a connection with her character. Which again, I think she's a good final girl. I don't know if we ever established that, but like she actually like is a really good like one towards the end with all the things that she does. But like it just felt like this because she still could have had that same outcome with less of the middle fluff. Like it was fluff. It just felt like fluff.
Mm-hmm. So she's getting ready. Okay, cool, whatever. Then we cut to Allie, and she's getting ready. And
She only gets like 5 seconds of getting ready.
Yeah.
Allie girlfriend.
Yeah.
No.
The
She's-
window breaks, right?
Yeah, there's glass breaking downstairs. So Allie goes downstairs to go check out what's going on, and we see Art the Clown.
No, we see the window. She pants through the window.
Yeah.
It's like a glass screen door, shattered, glass on the floor, and then she turns. And isn't Art like
He's getting water?
He's getting water now. He's just filling up water in the sink, and he sits there, and she watches him just chug this water.
Yeah.
And she's horrified, right? She's like,
She could have
the
just
whole
left.
time.
She could have just ran the whole time.
And then he puts it down.
he gets like
and then-
scissors, right?
No, he has his scalpel. It's his
He gets both.
Yeah.
his scissors scalpel, and then he does like his little runs.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does like his run. His runs. My favorite run too. He does like two like implements in
arms
his
up
hands.
like
He has
that,
arms
yeah.
up.
Like a shimmy kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
This
She
is where
runs
we-
upstairs instead of
the-
running through the broken glass window to
Yeah.
get outside. Stock.
We get
So-
the infamous scene.
yes. So if you haven't seen this movie, this scene is very gruesome, and I don't think we're going to do a justice describing it. With
Yeah.
that
This-
being
This
said,
is the scene where people walked out.
There's
I think.
the scene where people walked out. There's also the scene where people supposedly like threw up in the theaters. This is what honestly the scene that made the movie big in terms of like word of mouth and kind of really
Yeah.
helped propel this movie. Because if you don't know any history about this movie, The first one did not come out in theaters. The first one was like a streaming, all that, including All Hallows Eve. So he had 2 movies essentially that were just streaming only. This movie was in theaters only supposed to be for like a weekend, 2 days, a weekend, like if that, not even 2 weekends. Then it got so popularized because of the throw up thing. They added another weekend. I think they kept on adding, adding weekends. They ended up doing like a month.
Yeah.
And it made what it ended up making like
it grossed a lot.
They all ran away like bandits.
It was like, was it 750,000 that they made?
No, I think they made like
I thought they made
$5 million.
$5 million on a $250,000 budget.
Yeah, like that. Yeah. But yes, this is the infamous bedroom scene. So.
You know what's crazy? If you actually type in Terrifier 2, that's the first thing that pops
up.
Yeah,
it's like the most notable thing of the movie.
Yeah.
So, we're going to try describing this?
I'll describe it.
Okay, so
story time with Adam.
So, we can only do so much when trying to describe
We're going to limit it to because YouTube, so we don't want to get in trouble.
We'll do our best.
Okay. All right, so just to sum it up again, because I don't remember every single order of details. So basically, she tries to she gets in her room. He's right behind her because again he runs up the stairs, catches up to her. She basically is trying to like get out and try to figure out something. He ends up like
grabbing her by the hair.
Well, it's just her. She throws like her thing down, a shelf down, and he's like okay, and he kind of just hops over it. Yeah, grabs her by her hair. He ends scissors. He cuts the eye, so like just straight down like the face. So you kind of get a cut there. He ends up. Basically, like almost like does it the scalping first? I don't know. The scalping first. So
he gets the scissors.
The scissors,
cuts her forehead, and then
just kind of pulls. Which again, another one that recalls from the first one because in the first one, that's how they found the other friend. Not the other friend. I'm sorry, the cat lady. That's how they found cat lady.
Yeah.
And so R.I.P. cat lady in the credits. And so. So already right there, first of all, like it's like skull, almost a bit of brain, basically brain.
Yeah.
And like just nope, she's still like alive and kicking. He like he ends up like grabbing her arm and basically just
breaks it off.
Yeah, no, he like bends the elbow the other way and then just keeps on wiggling it until it like just comes off. So already right there, again, she should be passed out from just pure shock. Honestly, I almost passed out just because of sheer shock. Like I'm not gonna lie, I can't remember if I told how when I first watched it, I did actually feel a little queasy. Like I almost I almost felt like because again it was like late night. I don't remember if I ate or anything, so it kind of felt like really weird because I hadn't seen it.
Just eaten.
What did we?
We ate Willie's, right? D. Willie's or something.
Did we have D. Willie's before?
Yeah, that was that day.
I didn't feel queasy, but I remember I kind of anticipated because y'all said there's a scene, so I knew something was going to come up. And I remember when we saw it, y'all both looked at me, and I was like, "Oh no, here we go." So I but I felt my heart rate go up, and I was like, "Oh no!" Then I started watching, and I was like, "Oh okay." So it made me feel like it made my heart rate go up a little bit. And then the second time I watched it, I was just like,
top piece missing, arm missing.
He grabs the other arm, splits it down the middle.
He grabs like from the web of the fingerings, so like this, and just, and I was like, like internally, that's me in the theater screaming. And by the way,
you get freaked out from it.
When it comes to gore movies, I'm not really somebody that ever is like. Like I just don't get like that. I think it's because in my head, I just like although it's very gruesome, right? And it's like it's a movie. I think I know it's not real.
I think it's because the visual effects, other than the arm, right, looked actually pretty good. Like in terms of I mean, but once they get to the arm, you can tell it's like little plasticky. But like I mean, it works.
Right after we film, I'm gonna look up that scene specifically.
Yeah,
just watch it
I think there's like a side note. One thing that always gets me from like movies, it doesn't even have to be like necessarily the gore. It's kind of like sometimes it's just like the way that the characters scream when they're like getting, and that's what got me more. It wasn't necessarily what was happening because there's other stuff that happens in the movie, and I'm just like, oh, but like sometimes when an actor like if they have a really good like death cry, it'll kind of like shock me a little bit, and I'll be like, okay, because it sounds real. I don't remember exactly how, but I think I remember her sounding the more like it caught me off guard, and I was just like, it was good.
Is it the bill? the Bill
Yeah.
from DVD. Also the clown. All right. So scalp gone, arm in half, basically like pulling a mozzarella cheese cheese string.
And every time like there's a quote unquote break, he's like slicing her with the scalpel.
Yeah, in the back. It's in the back. And then I think he kind of like does kind of get her a couple times with the knife just in.
I think you're right.
He also then I think once he does that, he also like peels the skin
her back
from
off,
the skin. Yeah. So it was like kind of like I hate using midsummer, but kind of like how the wings were, like it's just pure back showing.
He like pretty much pulls out
well, just like the skin, just the skin is just very exposed. So does that whatever, and then she's basically like at this point like just crawling, trying to like
the phone starts
ringing because it's Sienna trying to get a hold of her, doesn't answer. So she's basically crawling. She's just trying to get away.
And while she's doing that, Art gets out of
Art walks out. Art walks out. And so we're just like, okay.
It's done.
It's not. No, you think it's done.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's
but
done.
Then they pan. I'm going to have you pan to the door real quick over here. They just literally pan to an open door of her bedroom. Music stops, right? It's like dead music. And then you just hear like a wee, and then like it's him coming back in, and he has a a giant Morton salt like whole canister and a full bottle. I have to assume of bleach.
Yeah.
He literally gets behind her.
Yeah.
He dumps the bleach on her. He does the salt like LeBron James, claps his hands, and then just smacks the back and just rubs it. And everybody in the theater lost. Everybody's like, oh my god! But like, there's people like just, oh my god! It was because it was just so. This is like the insane part.
It was over
like,
the top.
Over the top. Like, oh my gosh! It's.
I was like, what the fuck? Yeah.
I mean, that's what I really felt.
What is thinking she'd be dead? Yeah, she would have died when she like.
Well, yeah, because she was crawling at this point. She was crawling as best as she could to like I don't know where to the phone. Like you're saying, to the phone.
The worst kind of plot.
She's trying to call the phone. How she would have answered the phone, I don't know, because one hand's this, the other hand is gone.
Yeah.
But she was trying to get to the phone, and so that was that, and then just and then done. And then,
how was she crawling? Like her nose.
She was like just kind of army crawling,
pretty much with her elbows.
Then seen, but not to be completely concluded because they will come back to it.
All of that. I was like, So then we come back to Sienna, and she's in her full costume or whatever. She goes down to talk to Barbara, and she's like, "How do I look? Yay!" She's very exposed, and Barbara's like, "You can't go out like that." The typical
it's basically because like basically like just think of like female armor in any game, right? Like it's just a chest plate with a midriff. Where there's a midriff, there's a skirt which is like not all that long because it's warrior whatever, and then she has the
pretty much.
She has the no, she does not have the sword. She just has the wings.
Yeah, she just has the wings. So during this conversation, if you listen to, the mom is watching a movie, and if you listen to it, the movie, I caught this one on like our third watch through. But the movie, the mom's name is Barbara. In the movie, the movie says, "They're coming for you, Barbara."
It's the Night of the Living Dead opening scene.
Yeah.
Also very iconic scene. I love that movie. How many times? I almost want to like one day go down a rabbit hole and see how many times in horror movies they show that scene on a TV set during or show just that movie in general. Like how many times? Like Night of the Living Dead shows, because like almost everybody's always watching some black and white horror movie. Like it's like 2000s and they're still watching like black and white. Like, first of all, how is this on TV? Like nobody's just showing this on TV. Everybody here has a Sci-Fi Channel or AMC. Like I'm like, that's crazy.
It's in the public domain. That's why they just use it.
Yeah, it's like on ABC, the 31 Days of Halloween.
Where they show Harry Potter, like they show all the entire year. Freeform, not freeform. Tubi.
That's funny. Peace out. Whatever.
Mom. Like at some point, finally agrees that the costume's okay because she's like, your dad would have been proud because the drawing, like Justin had pointed out, is of like a Valkyrie. Orc, like a Valkyrie orc lady, right? With the. Or was it an actual lady? It was like a warrior.
It's a warrior, like a Wonder Woman kind of character.
With the same exact outfit. So she cosplayed exactly what the dad made for her.
So then we come back to Allie's house.
The mom, right?
And Allie's mom gets home and she's like calling for Allie, right? She notices that there's a the Halloween candy is still
Yeah.
full, and she's like, have you been passing it out or whatever? And as she's walking deeper into the house, she sees the broken glass door, and she like freaks out, ah! And then she goes upstairs, right, looking for Allie, screaming her name the whole time. She opens the door, and then you see Allie like on the bed, and Art's like just playing with her intestines, right, or something.
Yeah,
He's like pulling off her skin.
Yeah.
Like he's peeling her
He's
skin.
eating it, isn't he?
Yeah, he's like,
oh, you're right.
That's
He
it,
is eating
yeah.
it.
Which is again like something he doesn't do all the time, but he did at the end of the first one with
he bites her and
but the
eats her
face,
face.
yeah, and then obviously this is the first of two
Yeah.
spots where he does in this movie.
And then the mom's like freaking out,
She's
right?
like, no. He's
Yeah.
like, yeah.
It's like, I did it again.
and then scene. That was it. They didn't show what happened to the mom. No, no.
Well,
really don't.
well, Allie's like there, and she
Yeah,
wakes
and
up,
she
and
says-
she says, "Mom."
Yeah,
I was like, like really?
It's
She
so
woke up,
weird.
yeah, she woke
She
up.
has super strength. She has a superpower. She can't die.
That arm.
Dumb.
So stupid.
Um,
I don't want that power.
Yeah.
but then then we cut to the party with Sienna, and she's with her other friend Brooke, which we met again at lunch period or whatever the heck.
Mm.
And they're ordering drinks, and when they ordered drinks, they didn't check IDs, which is illegal. Always check IDs because they're in high school.
Isn't she like 27 in real life?
In real life, I think she's
and
our
then
age,
like
yeah.
somebody,
But she's playing a high schooler.
Yeah.
and then what's her name? Once they get the drinks, what's her name? Boyfriend shows up.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I forgot his name.
Jeff.
Just some
His name is
random
Jeff.
guy. And
Jeff.
He's
yeah.
wearing the Halloween the original
Oh,
Halloween
yeah.
costume, and the
Duh.
blanketed sheets. It looks like this.
Yeah, it looks like this.
And he's wearing a shirt that says "Just the Tip," which will come in later.
Oh, is he? I didn't even
Yeah.
notice that.
I think it says
He's like
"Just
stock,
the
like
Tip, I promise."
Stock boyfriend.
dude, frat
Yeah.
boy. Yeah, like
Yeah.
it's kind of like just
Yeah. And so whatever, they start dancing in the club. Ooh, yay! And then we cut to Art back at Allie's house, and he's
Triggered.
He's
Get passing out
giving out
candy.
candy.
he's passing out candy, and he's using
The mom's
Allie's
head.
mom's head as the candy bowl, and he's
Yeah.
passing it
That's
out.
that. And then no, he has them grab it.
Oh,
Like,
you're
right.
Why is it sticky? And it's like
Really?
because I realized, oh man, no, it's just like it's for
Like,
show.
it's just
And then
makeup.
the messed up part is like the one kid tries to get two candies.
Oh,
and
he's like,
smacks
no.
them. He like smacks
He's
them.
like, one. He's like, one. He's like, one.
I was
Yeah,
like,
standards.
yes,
Everybody gets
yeah,
one.
piece of cake.
Everybody gets
That was my
one.
favorite. Just like-
At least he's fair, right?
And then the kids leave, and then he just waves and he
Yeah,
closes the door.
But
He's all, like, laughing.
He picks up the head, right? And
He's,
he
like,
laughs at
laughing,
it.
yeah.
Then we cut to Sienna's house. We get a scene of Jonathan. He's in Sienna's room, just kind of messing around with the cosplay stuff or whatever. And then the mom enters the room, and she's trying to be nice, more like apologetic or whatever. And then Jonathan's like, "No, you have to believe me," with the journal again.
Yeah.
She gets upset, starts ripping it up, and then that part made me feel bad because that's like the only thing he has of his
Yeah.
dad left over, and she
And then he
destroyed it.
said, "Why do you have to be such a beep?" And then she
Yeah.
just, and then he like falls. It's like, "I'm sorry," and then he runs away.
Why is he really making him run like that?
That's how you ran, right? He ran kind of Oh man!
Oh,
he did
yeah.
he did the Friday run where he like runs.
Then we're back at the party. Sienna goes to get another drink.
But he runs away. Just if we weren't clear, he runs out the doorway. Runs down that. He runs down. I think he gets tired, like halfway down the block, turns, and he keeps on running.
Yeah.
Back at the party, Sienna goes to get another drink. And then we cut back to Mom, and she's and she's like, of course, upset about everything that's going on, and she mixes like some medication.
Yeah.
Don't want to make assumptions about what it is, and alcohol. Well, she notices that the door leading to the garage is open. And so she goes, she walks towards it, and then she sees their vehicle that's parked in the garage, and it's covered in shaving cream, and it has like a smashed pumpkin and
It says
toilet paper.
bitch on it, right?
Yeah, the windshield it says bitch, and she like, what the heck? Like freaks out.
So
wasn't like before, like she was like getting to the point where she was about to like forgive like Jonathan. She was, like, and then she goes and she sees that, she's like, "Oh, you little."
Yeah. Well, and then right as it's about to get to the next thing, this is where we find out in the drinks that Sienna's friend
Spiked it
with
Molly
the
in it.
Molly, yeah, and so because she felt good. She was like, oh man, like she's touching the wall. She's at the restaurant.
She said, I need to live in this.
Yeah.
The skeleton, right?
And then she told her like, hey, yeah, we're having a good time. And she's like, yeah, because I did this. And then she kind of starts like, what? Like, you're crazy, but kind of still happy. Like you could tell, like, not really disturbed because of that still hasn't worn off, but like she's like kind of like, oh my gosh, she's like, yeah, I just wanted you to mellow and this and that. And so then they go out dancing and they're on the dance floor, right? And
before that,
no, they're not. Nothing. She doesn't see anything yet, but they're dancing because she's like, yeah, let's go dance. Like,
no, yes, you're right. You're right.
And then it cuts to the phone call because she's like, don't you dare.
It cuts to Jonathan.
Oh, Jonathan doing the run and like getting tired.
And there's a honking that he hears, and he turns
the
around.
Van, right? It's the black van.
Yeah, he hears
van.
And it's the girl, right?
Yeah.
She's in the van.
No, it's empty first.
It's empty at first. This kid
goes to the
creepy
van.
black van parked. There's nobody in. You can see there's nobody in there, and he hears honking. This kid walks up to the goddamn car. Then he looks to the window, sees nothing, turns, looks again, and then there's the pale girl with the glowing eyes.
With the glowing eyes, which that's a running theme of like of art. When I think almost like kind of like it when he does like his like little spell almost like the glowing eyes. Because that happened in All Hallows Eve and in the first movie at the end. Doesn't happen.
He never has the glowing eyes, but other people.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah. That's right.
So then we cut back to the party. Yay, everyone's living it up. Sienna gets a call from her mom. Decides to call her back, and then
just like a tirade, like I can't even understand her.
She sounds like what is from the Thornbirds, the freaking
Donnie.
And so Sienna's like talking to her or whatever, and Barbara's like, "Are you drunk?" And she goes, "No." And so they're talking, whatever, and then Sienna's like, no, Jonathan didn't do that. He wouldn't do that. And then XYZ, and she's like, I love you. And this gets, like, Barbara to calm down a little bit. Right?
Oh, she's like, hey, thank you for everything. I'm sorry, like, for being, I'm just sorry for everything. And she's like, wants to get mad at her, too. Yeah. But then I think she kind of realizes, like, okay, like, you know what, chill out, whatever.
Yeah, and then the conversation ends, hangs up the phone. This entire time, Barbara's, like, cleaning the car. And she goes to the driver's window and she wipes it, and there's Art the Clown
with a sawed-off shotgun, sawed off, and just boom, and like you just see, like it almost looks like the head like hits the wall.
Yeah.
It's so weird. They show a shot of her head getting blown off. Yeah. Like from the front, and then the head come off, and it hits the wall.
Which makes no sense to me because then the scene we see after with it like looks more constructed. I don't know. You're
thinking about it too much.
Using logic in this.
So then we're at the party again. Everyone living it up. Woo woo. And then Sienna starts to see the pale girl. Yeah. Right. Like in different parts, she like freaks out when she first sees it. She's like, she looks like Sponge Gar, right? Like
Sponge Gar.
And then she asks Brooke, like, "Hey, did you see that?" She says, "Sees what?" And then turns around, pale girl's like right in her face. She freaks out.
Drops the sword, just screaming like death, and everybody like at the party's like.
Yeah. And then they take her home, or they're like they'd leave.
Yeah. No, she's like, I need to go. Like, take me home. Yeah. And like her friend's like, what? Why? We're just having a good time.
Yeah, pretty much. And then we cut to Jonathan, and he's coming back from running away. Yeah, he's back at the house. And then he walks into the door. He screams for his mom. He turns to like go up the stairs. Then something catches his eye in the dining area. He turns around and he sees his mom. Dead body there with the head reconstructed. Yeah, it's still like caved in the middle, but it's somehow back on the body. Yeah.
And then he comes out in the apron, full apron, with the dinner bell. And he comes over with the mashed potatoes, right?
And he like starts to serve it and stuff like that. And of course, right, like with this movie, there's portions of the movie, or especially with Art, that the actor you can 100% tell is improvised, and I believe, like in my heart, that him grabbing the potatoes and shoving it in Barbara's like freaking face,
orifice, if that's what you can call it.
is 100% improv. I don't think they planned that. I think they just
and he
Like,
just
you don't think-
and he
just kept
and he
going.
sat there watching him the whole time. He was like,
Yeah.
and then finally, and then he looks at him.
He pulls
and
out
then
a
he pulls out
syringe.
the
Giant syringe.
Comically large, like from the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So pulls out the giant syringe. Art chases Jonathan
Again,
upstairs.
does
Upstairs, catches up to Jonathan, and then puts the basically.
Yeah, he grabs him by his like ankle too,
Yeah.
and then I think Jonathan
He
he
runs to Sienna's
he
room to
realizes
grab
the sword, which we didn't point out. Another key big
didn't
thing that they
burn.
pointed out in the movie: it did not burn. There was
right.
ashes
Yeah.
and everything everywhere, but when she like touched her like dresser with all the
It
like
was
different
underneath all
ash,
the ash.
it was all the ash, and it was like pristine. There was no
Yeah.
char marks. There was nothing. It was just good. So he remembers. He reaches or falls, and then he sees the sword. He reaches for it to do something, but then by that point, Art turns him over and gets him in the
Yeah.
neck, jabs him with the syringe.
Yeah. So and then as Art's leaving or whatever, he also takes the sword with him. Now we're seeing Sienna again. So it's her, Brooke, and Jeff. They're in the car leaving the party or whatever. Sienna's rightfully freaked out. And then Brooke like gaslights her, right? Like, what the hell was that? XYZ. I was having a good time. Why'd you have to ruin it?
And then it was like, she was like, dude, you literally put stuff in my
put
drink, and
drug
you didn't know I
me.
already took medication for something else that could have like been bad. And she was
Yeah.
like, I didn't know.
She's like, you could have had a seizure.
Yeah, it's a bunch of stuff. Bad friend. Brooke is a really bad friend.
Yeah.
She should die.
And so then Sienna gets a phone call from Jonathan basically saying that he's trapped and he needs
So
help.
it's
and she
all,
needs to go sit out.
it's fairly clear. The first one, it does have a little static, but it has like clear. And then it pans to at the end of that phone call, like, yeah, please hurry. And it
It's
pans
the
to the
little
little girl, and I think it shows him in the back of the van,
He's
like,
asleep.
asleep.
Yeah.
But so
Um,
she can basically mimic voices.
Yeah, and so Brooke is like, "Nah, we're not doing that," and Jeff is like, "No, it's okay."
Because they
It's
said,
two
let's
miles
go
away.
to, it's at the carnival, the abandoned carnival, which is the newspaper clipping of the girl missing, which everybody believes is the pale girl's origin, whatever. That's where he's saying he's at. So that was the connection there. So, yeah.
So Jeff, so Sienna gets out of the car, right? She's like, "Hey, Jonathan's not answering my text. I told him to wait at the front. He's not here. Let me go into the carnival and see if I can find him." So she gets out of the car, and Jeff is very much like, "Hey, like, he's talking to Brooke, and he's like, should we go help her or whatever?" And she's like, "Nah."
And then she explains the backstory of the dad.
Well, it's like later.
Oh,
Yes, you're right.
yeah,
You're right.
right,
You're right.
yeah,
He was crazy.
Yeah, that the dad, like, towards the end of his life was,
a little abusive and
yeah,
sick.
abusive and sick, and that he ended up crashing his car into one of the electric transformers. He was stuck and he burned alive. So then, as Sienna's walking through the carnival or whatever, she gets a phone call from Jonathan, just like you're saying. It's cutting in.
Gargled and static, and she's like,
Yeah.
And then, but the only thing clear part is, I'm in the Terrifier, and I was like,
text messages.
yeah, oh, and
Yeah,
text
text
message.
message.
Text
She's like,
message.
where are you? It's like, the
Terrifier.
Terrifier.
I was like, oh,
Cap,
it
it said
texted
the
the thing.
name.
It texted the thing.
Said the name of the other movie in this movie.
Yes,
Bruh.
dude.
In the third one, they're going to go to the Terrifier 2.
That's what they're gonna say. Where are you, the Terrifier 2?
And so Jonathan wakes up. He's like in this weird room with a bunch of dolls or whatever, and he looks, and there's the pale girl, and she mutilated her face to look like Victoria.
Yeah, can we also talk about how there's an abandoned carnival just in general, like that much that much real estate in a town where there's just all this carnival equipment is just like, and the lights are on. Like the lights are on at this carnival. They tore Splash Town up in like less than like 2 days, but they can't get rid of a carnival that you can just pick up the rides and drag them off.
Well,
Right,
the real
the
estate in this
18-wheelers.
Yeah.
the real estate in this town or whatever is just weird, right? Think about the warehouse apartment complex that the entire first movie took place
Yeah,
in.
that's
Like,
true.
the heck are these places?
And there's somehow a college around there too, or like
Yeah.
They're probably somewhere in the Midwest.
no, they're in New York. Oh wait,
Oh,
no, they're probably I mean, the stores in New York, they could make it seem like it's anywhere else, but I assumed it's like in somewhere upper New York area.
I have no idea. I just know that they have seasons, right? Like their
Yeah,
leaves
gross.
change.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we come back to the car. Brooke and Jeff are making out. Okay, cool. Then we move back to Sienna as she finds the Terrifier, which is essentially like this haunted maze,
Yeah,
right?
it's
And so we
Which
haunted.
is
get
freaking
shots of-
huge.
Yeah,
Like,
it's big.
the layout is like ridiculously large.
For
Like
a
if
carnival
you,
ride.
for an abandoned carnival that nobody wants to stake claim to just tear down.
Go back to Brooke and Jeff making out still. Brooke is worried about Sienna. She tries to call her, and Jeff is like, while you're doing that, I'm going to go urinate. So he gets out of the car, goes behind, or goes around, does a little jump scare.
Yeah, he scares her, right?
Yeah.
And then he goes back to the back of the car to go pee. Brooke turns to
And he's like
where
peeing on his car almost. Like,
Yeah.
he's just like
He's peeing on his car,
He
like on
could've-
the trunk of his
yeah,
car.
like he could have gone anywhere in this abandoned parking lot where nobody is. He just like, you know what, let me just pee on the back of my car.
Yeah.
That's essentially. And he didn't wash his hands.
You're right. He did.
Well, not by choice.
Not by choice.
So
What do you think he would have?
Oh, I guess probably.
Yeah,
not.
he
There's
would have.
no sink.
So Brooke turns to the driver's seat, and in the window it says "just the tip" is written on the dust, and she's like, "What the heck?" And then we cut to Jeff
This is
urinating,
stupid.
and then we see this knife stab him in the wiener, and like over and
Yeah.
over again. Here comes Art the Clown, just the tip, right?
Yeah.
Just freaking going to town on this guy's pelvis.
He cuts his wiener off.
He does. He doesn't
Or
cut it off. He
pulls
rips it off.
Pulls his wiener off.
He does. And then he goes to Brooke after touching this other man's private parts.
And he
Doesn't wash
shows
his
her the
hands.
wiener.
He does. He like rubs it on the
He
window.
rubs the wiener on the window.
And then he breaks the window and pulls her out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then she, is cut on the leg from coming out of broken glass. Tries to run away, goes into the abandoned carnival, yelling for Sienna. Okay, cool. Brooke eventually finds her way to the back of the Terrifier or something
Yeah,
like that.
Well,
She's-
at first she runs through the carnival, and she's like, I think at some point he clipped her leg or something, right? Because she's like hobbling.
Well,
And she
that's
like,
the glass.
oh yeah. And he
Got her.
she like falls over and like trips over nothing and is like in a hay bale thing for a second. And ours just Michael Myers just chill walking, and then she like and then she like gets up and like she just stays there for a minute too, like and like just sits there. Is like, girl, get up! What are you doing? But yeah, she ends up behind the Terrifier, which again, somehow the behind part is so mazy that like it's so far behind where she entered, but they're all near the same place. Like it's really weird.
Yeah. So she enters the haunted maze, haunted house, whatever, yells for Sienna. Sienna turns around. It's like, oh, hey, Brooke is here. So they're looking for each other. And Brooke ends up in this restroom, right? And it's like disgusting, blood everywhere. There's, it's
The first one
here.
In the first one.
Was it?
No, like
There's
just
no
a callback in the
But
first
yeah. And then we see Art the Clown. He turns the corner. Yay.
On one of the walls, doesn't it say art? It says like
Art was
art.
here.
Yeah, art was
Art was
here.
here.
one. And that's not when he does the hand yet. He just
Not
comes
yet.
in with the.
He
with
comes
his-
in. He has his hands behind his back.
Yeah.
And then she's like, "Oh, get away, get away!"
Yeah,
She
on the
pulls out,
dirty
like, some
floor.
kind of-
On the dirty-
Yeah.
Oh, she pulls out the a 2x4.
Yeah,
right?
she pulls one
like
off,
a
yeah,
2x4
she's
or
showing.
something. And then Art like gets a bottle of acid that he
He
stole
just-
from the doctor's office at the very beginning.
Yeah. Which didn't have a cap. But
It didn't have a
somehow-
cap. It didn't have a cap.
He puts
Throws
it
it
on
on
her
there.
face and acid on the face. Ah! You see it bubbling her skin.
Yeah.
And then he like proceeds to beat the crap out of her.
with the weapon he made at the
The
beginning.
Yeah.
makeshift morning
makeshift-
star.
And I think he
Yeah.
does like chest, right?
Yeah, he
Like-
takes her chest in.
he gets her onto the ground. There's a shot of him hitting her kneecap, and you
Yeah.
see it
Oh,
come off. Yeah. And then he finishes it off with hitting her in the chest.
And then he
And
pulls
it's
out her
strong.
heart and he eats it, doesn't he? Or
No,
something? Yeah.
really?
Yeah, he bites
He
into
eats
it. Yeah.
There's like, what is it?
Yeah.
Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones.
Sienna turns the corner, sees what's essentially left of Brooke's body, right? And then she's like crying, "Oh no, my friend!" And then this is when we get Art, and he's in the hallway.
He does
and he's
the
like,
TikTok. Have you seen all the TikTok ones? The one where he waves. Also, again, everything powered at this thing, including the fun house. And there multiple times, I think at least 3 times, they showed this giant, like at least 5 foot wide, 5 foot tall, like dog head that like crawls in, like comes, and I'm like, who's paying for this to be powered up? Like this thing, like I mean, it is jump scares the characters.
It's art with this, all the money he steals. He goes and pays the electric bill, yeah.
Yeah, geez. But yeah, like that was like, because during all this time we're cutting it short, but like Sienna's running through this maze area and they're running through this fun house that has all these different like cheesy scares, right? They're like bad, like, you know, Halloween decoration things.
Maybe
and
it's
stuff
run
like
on
that.
ghost power.
Runs on ghost power.
Supernatural.
The only
power.
I kind of guess jump scares the dog heads. Like,
Those are real. They have those.
So then Art and Sienna basically like are getting ready to show down or whatever, and Jonathan's behind Art the clown, and Sienna tells him to run off, and then Sienna like somehow stabs him with the 2x4.
Yeah.
I don't know what the heck, and then they like Russell and tussle. Art beats the living crap out of this one.
Yeah.
Jonathan runs off, and he's hiding in some like closet or something like that.
It's almost like a what is it? What do you call it? Like a crate that you would ship stuff like they show like when they ship stuff for museums and stuff. It's like a crate, but it doesn't have the lid. Yeah, but it's not. There's no lid, but there's a black sheet.
Curtain.
Yeah, curtain. And Art like kind of like the first one does it where he kind of like looks in that direction, like he's gonna see the locker, but he doesn't. Like this is one where he doesn't. Yeah,
he keeps walking off. Sienna eventually gets up and she grabs the art weapon or whatever, the table leg, the Morning Star. Jonathan like basically almost finds the exit, right, and tries to run off, and as he turns the corner, there's Art the clown.
Yeah.
And then he basically like starts cutting Jonathan.
Yeah.
While he's doing so, you see Sienna coming from behind Art with the Morning Star and just like
boom, it's
like the back of the head.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because
he's like
and he like pulls it out. Jonathan and Sienna run off, and they basically get to like this back area or whatever where there's like a bunch of tools and stuff like that. And they basically stop because Sienna, at this point, she's taking a beating. She's probably emotionally exhausted. Like there's a lot going on, and so she kind of needs a little bit of a breather. And so here, she's like, "Go on without me." "No, I can't. I think you're the key to everything." "What do you mean?" "I don't know. I just feel it."
I think from this point, after he kills what's her name, Brooke, to like all the way almost to the end of the movie, I think this part goes on way too long, and they could have easily shaved off a good 10 minutes of it.
I don't think it should have ended there necessarily, but
they could have cut stuff out.
They could have cut stuff out, but this is where they needed to add some of the, I think, lore things to tie in to help kind of put everything together. Because I think the third movie, he said, should kind of tie a knot on a lot of this stuff.
He also said the third movie's shorter than this one.
Yes.
Thank God.
He heard you complain.
You heard my complaint before I voiced it.
So then Sienna and Jonathan end up in this chapel. Sienna goes to scout ahead. Jonathan's just staying there, right? And we see basically like Art.
There's a bunch of like dummies. Yeah, dummies, like almost like monks, but like they're all like
cult,
and even
cultists.
Yeah, and then
like
they have like they have like the creepy organ. It's like So it's part of the haunted house too, right? Like it's like you're saying like kind of like a church almost, like, and they're walking through with all these hooded people, and then he's searching, he's looking around, and then we get he like one of them like pops up and it's him, because I think we call it too. It's like, how did he get over there so fast? And then he does the sheave. He's like,
he pulls out the whip that he used
the first one, which is like a flail with a bunch of like medical scissors and medical scalpels and things.
Yeah, and then Sienna turns around. They get into it again, and they like get into it really hard, right? Like they're freaking like throwing a bunch of punches, all these other things, and
like throws her on like what you would almost consider the sacrifice table.
The
altar,
He throws her over it or something like that.
Yeah.
That's what it seems like.
And then he starts whipping her. Okay, cool. And then Jonathan's on the ground. He starts whipping him. And then Sienna like goes over to
crawls on top of him.
Yeah, protect her brother. So she gets whipped. She eventually catches it and then pulls it out of Art's arms. And he's like all shocked.
Yeah, he does a shock face up.
And then she uses it on him. They start backing up or whatever. She gets him down to the ground, and then she pulls like some kind of there's like a gate that has like sharp.
Yeah, it's like stock black metal Gothic gate that has the points and it's very thin. Yeah,
and she like stabs him in the head, and he surprise comes back, tries to choke Sienna out, and then this is when Jonathan like. Big hero moment gets the.
He sees just like the first movie on the strap to the leg, an entire sawed-off shotgun.
Yeah, I was like a whole. It didn't even look that big either. It looked like a pistol still.
Yeah,
but he pulls off a whole sawed-off shotgun.
And he like looks. He shows it at him, and he like looks.
Okay, this is the only other scene I like. Right?
Yeah, and he kind of like. He does
the blink. He does the blink, right? Like the Tweety Bird blink. He does like the you gonna do that?
Yeah. And then just
Shoots him in the stomach or something. Yeah. Sienna passes out, right? And then she you hear Jonathan Sienna, and eventually
because she does Barbara's voice. Yeah, well, here's Barbara's voice, and then he's like, Mom, and she has kind of like a moment where she's
seeing her mom,
and everything's okay, blah blah blah.
So I can't wait to see you. Yeah, I wish I could see you again.
Yeah, and so I'm not leaving you, this and that, and then that's when because she doesn't know Mom is gone.
Yeah.
Because I don't think did he tell her? I can't remember.
Because she says Jonathan told you, didn't he? And
Jonathan's like.
What?
And then Jonathan's telling her that's not Mom.
And then she turns into the girl, right? Or whatever.
She turns into an artified Barbara.
Yeah, there we go. Barbara, and then she gets these weird memory implants in her, and she sees it.
Oh yeah, she sees basically
a vision. What happened? Yeah, and then that's when she starts freaking out and crying.
Freaking out, crying.
And then she takes off. Right, don't even see her again for a bit.
That's it. Jonathan is gone. She goes around looking for him again. She finds Jonathan passed out with Art standing over him.
At this point,
pushes her into a hole.
Yeah, at this point, this is where you had talked about before. She's really fatigued. She's worn. She's.
She's trying to hit him, but obviously
she's just weak. Yeah, she's blood loss. There's just a lot of you've gone through a lot just within that little time frame, and I'm sure the drugs that she got dealt probably don't help either. Yeah. He's like, okay, whatever, and just basically shoves her back into the a hole. She falls, and then he chokes her, and then does it again because there's
another hole. Yeah, there's two holes.
Because it's one to get her into something again,
a basement.
Yeah, well, it's a cellar. It's like a cellar, but also almost like I hate saying Renaissance-y, but almost like a castle dungeon, which again, not first movie, but the Hallows Eve if you watch it. And then from there, he chokes her and then drops her in the just
another hole. Yeah,
and then not only that, then he spits on her.
Because she spit on him.
Oh yeah, spits on him, and he just and chokes her, just throws her in, and
he spits on her. Yeah,
that's the only sound he does, and then just walks off. And then this is where it kind of goes. This is where, for me, it kind of went off the, not rails, but this is where I got
this is where it got
tracked.
Yeah. So when she got thrown into the second hole, Art stabbed her.
Yeah.
With the sword. And then threw her in. So then Art goes to Jonathan, tries to wake him up, does this whole thing.
Yeah, kind of hits it too.
Yeah.
He's disappointed.
Yeah, disappointed. Just kind of
Yeah, he's
Sienna wakes up. She's in this water tube. Basically, she's at the set of the dream sequence. I don't know if it's a dream sequence. And everybody there is a zombie, pretty much.
Yeah. But they are laid there the way that they were when he did the Tommy gun flamethrower, all that. Mm-hmm. But the two people you still don't see are the nun and the homeless person. Those are the only two that did not get affected. I'm telling you, there's something there. That's the one thing everybody asks about. What is going on with that? That's something. I'm telling you. You're shaking your head, and when it is, you're gonna be big mad. He's gonna be big mad. But this is, in my opinion, is where it kind of goes off a little bit for me. And I even said it when I first watched it. I felt like it tried to do a lot and just try to shove story in and lore in where it could have maybe been done a little bit nicer. But she's basically in a glass tank that's filled up with water. And she's trying to get out, but there's almost these vines that wrap around her.
I was gonna say tentacle vines.
Tentacles vines, and are holding her. And so she's trying to get out. Again, she's seeing all these people the art. What is it? The cereal again? The Art Krispies, and the person's all glassed up and zombified. They're pale skin, glassy eyes. And then she's trying to escape. She can't, and so eventually what ends up happening is you almost hear it too. You hear her heart just slowing down because she's just taking in water and she can't escape. And so he screams, right? It pans back to the brother,
and he's eating
his ankle, his
Achilles
heel, which is gross. Oh man, it reminds me of, what is it, Hostel, when they
cut the heel
out. Anyway, so yeah, he's eating that, and the kid's like, Sienna. And so she hears that, and this is where, again, the lore that I think they're trying to set up, which is she's his, basically the answer to him, right? Yeah. She's the thing that can take care of him. She starts basically glowing, like the sword glows.
Yeah, the sword
and
glows.
then it like lightning too, right? Like
Yeah.
kind of like electrifies and energizes like it did at the beginning. And so she starts getting like energy power, and so like her wounds start like basically healing like the wound from the sword, and then she just magically like boom, like adrenaline, eyes pop open, wakes up. She's good, and then she like slices the. Why did she didn't realize this sooner? Slices
She
pulls it off.
Yeah.
And then she gets out.
It still doesn't make sense. Like,
Yeah, so she gets out. She pulls out.
I
Yeah.
know.
So yeah, it's kind of interesting. And she swims up, but like
She crawls out of the hole. Like
crawls out of the hole, but we don't know. Like there has to be at least like a giant space of like feet between the hole and like wherever this tube is. I don't know where
she's not. I don't even think she's like even in a tube. I think that's just her like unconscious, like her like death. Like what is it? Like she's like experiencing death almost.
Okay.
So
it's just so
it's weird how they did it. I was like,
creative, but didn't really hit the mark.
Stupid.
Yeah. And so again, he's like, kids like, blah, and then she shows up and she basically has the sword and
she slices his back.
The back, yeah. And then he's like, and then he looks up and he's like, she sees like, oh yeah, clean, like I have a clean cut, and he looks and I think he even like points at it, right? He's like,
well, there's a few slices in between.
Yeah,
they end up walking, and exactly like you're saying, she cuts his throat, and then that's when he's like, oh, whatever, okay, and then just like you're saying, like
she points to tell him like, go ahead and
does his fucking
yeah.
thing or whatever, and then she slices his head off,
falls over.
Mm-hmm. Then Sienna goes to Jonathan. Oh, hey, you're safe. Oh, yay. Okay, you're alive. Yay. Okay, cool.
Another long
They hug it out, and then the movie ends. Right?
No. They look over.
And the girl.
The girl
picks up the. She's like talking.
She has she has the
rolling eyes.
She picks up the head. She
listens
hears it talking.
She's like
and
talking.
Then her eyes grow.
She's like laughing, right? Because she's like listening.
And then she walks off.
She walks off into a creepy, dark room hallway thing, and just kind of like backs or like fades out into the distance, which again another like, okay, like all right, and they just let it happen. They're just like, no, there's this other thing that's probably could get us. They're just looking at it like,
and then the credits roll, and then we get a mid-credit scene
with Chris Jericho.
Who's that? Wrestler?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. I was like, this guy looks familiar. I was like, this guy.
And they're watching like a sci-fi horror movie, right?
Yeah, an old black and white one. Yeah. The person he's talking to is the nurse that was taking care of Victoria. After she got arrested.
Post arrest. Yeah.
Yeah, post arrest after killing Monica, and the person who plays the nurse is the singer from the Clown Cafe.
Yes.
It's the same
Really?
person.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's so because when that scene first started, after she scoops the brain jam or whatever.
She's like, yeah.
And then
Chris
Chris Jericho's like, hey, where'd you hear that song? It's kind of good. And she's like, I don't know. Victoria's been singing it all day. And this entire time, we hear screams and we see
Victoria. She's like giving birth,
and
right?
we see clips of Victoria in the room, and she's starting to bleed from her lady
bits. And she can tell she's writing stuff on the wall, but you can't fully see what it is yet. And she made note to the nurse saying of like, she's been great this entire time. She hasn't done anything. Super cooperative, nothing weird. And then this is like her going crazy.
Yeah.
And so eventually, like you're saying, she kind of like lets out a thing, which we soon realize is a
the nurse goes to
see it. She hears the screaming, like it's like basically like screaming a lot of stuff, like obscenities and stuff too. Mm-hmm. And she looks at things like, hey, what's going on? She opens the thing and kind of sees her with something, and she opens the door. Stock, shouldn't do that by yourself. And then she sees that it's Art's head.
She gave birth to Art's head.
And he looks at her, right? He like looks and he just kind of
pulls the Freddy. Pulls the Freddy. He's like smiling. Yeah.
And then Victoria's eyes are also glowing yellow here.
Yeah.
And then the movie ends.
And you can see on the wall it said Art and Victoria are Vicky.
And a big old heart.
Which is setting up the third movie where they're going to
kill together, I guess.
Yeah, which is interesting because, again, she was the second protagonist in the first movie, and now she's part of the team. I mean, I guess that's technically Saw 2 too, right? Like,
Amanda.
So, credits roll, and that's Terrifier 2.
Yay! Don't they play that the credits too? They play like the acoustic.
So yeah, closing thoughts, Adam.
Again, I still stand by my objective, subjective. You have to be, and we're in horror groups on Facebook. You have to have an appreciation for these types of movies, and you have to also go in knowing, like, you know what, the story is going to be second. So like the effects is going to be second to like just the silliness, and second to like just the antagonist being like just his own like just blown up character. Again, I don't know like how to explain it. Like he just is able to pull off a lot of things without even saying a word. Like with no dialogue, this man has been able to create a character that people are talking about more now and actually like putting on like, hey man, this guy's like mainstream. Like he has his own costumes now. He has his own animatronics at like Spirit Halloween. Like he's made it. Like when you get your own Spirit Halloween animatronic, I think you've made it, right? So like I think like this movie, again, while long, it has its own pacing issues and maybe a few minor other things with the story. I think that it does a good job, and I really hope that what I think it's going to be in the third movie to tie it all in is going to be good. Like I think Damien is kind of like slowly started to like fix problems, right? Like the first one, people were like, oh, it's just a lot of just nothing and him doing stuff. Second movie actually tried to do more with the protagonist, and the third movie I think is, while focused on the antagonist still, I think Sienna and Jonathan are going to have a major role. So if you didn't know, the third movie is going to have Sienna and Jonathan come back in and do that. But yeah, I stand by my decision. I think it's a good movie, but it does have flaws. So objectively, go in with that in mind. But it has its moments. So
Closing thoughts?
Below average. I mean, like I said, I like Art. He's cool. He's a funny guy. There's some good scenes in there, but overall, I think it's way too long for my taste. And again, maybe it's because the story's convoluted, but it kind of equates to the first movie where I feel like a whole lot of nothing happens.
Mm-hmm.
I think stuff does happen. It just, again, it's convoluted, and again, it's not very cohesive is the thing.
And I guess that's the problem with it, because like convolution can be okay as long as like it's interesting, but this isn't interesting. It feels like he just got a bunch of ideas from here,
right.
and he's like, I'm gonna just throw it all together and just see what happens.
Remember too, it's a $250,000 budget movie.
Doesn't mean you can't write a good story.
Hold on. And dude's pulling like triple duty. He's directing. He's the effects artist. He's like, I mean, the dude, he is the guy. So I have to imagine like one person trying to do all those jobs with a $250,000 budget is, I mean, it's better than the 2-man group that does the Pooverse. Like we have to, can we
That's
at least
two
admit
people?
that? There's 2 directors, yes. Have you seen Pooh 2, by the way?
No.
Not yet.
Can I spoil one phrase?
You can spoil the whole movie.
No, I just want to spoil one phrase. One phrase and one phrase only. Pooh literally looks to the camera and he goes, "It's pooing time." He says it. He says it. I told Ida, I go,
10 out of 10. I don't see this movie.
I go, that's the best and the worst. The movie never recovered after that. But I was like,
never recovered. Like it had a chance.
It never recovered. It was pretty bad. But anyways, good. Sorry, that was a side part.
Closing thoughts, Amanda?
I still just said the same 10 out of 10. I don't know. I think we skimmed over a lot of it like during the podcast, and I think that just goes to show how much could have just been removed.
Yeah, that was my other thought there.
This podcast was an hour and a half. So.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of like side notes, right? But I enjoyed it. I don't think it's anything more or less than what I expected of the movie. So for that, 10 out of 10 still.
Yeah. I love this movie. I can't wait for the third one to come out. I am so hyped. We are recording this on August 28th. So the trailer for the third movie dropped this morning, which is why I'm kind of more on an art hype right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love this movie. I highly recommend it. Of course, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. Maybe wrong, but that's nice. But Adam, you have our next pick. What's the next movie we're going to watch?
You said Terrifier 3.
We're gonna wait
a whole month.
You know what? Just because y'all said y'all haven't seen it, we're doing Night of the Living Dead, which I thought the zombies were actually good in that movie. Just FYI,
I heard it's a really good movie.
I
heard it's really good.
Just heads up. The protagonist immediately is awful after the first scene. Like just a waste. Like literally is just there. Like it's kind of actually frustrating. I think that's the one thing people hate is the protagonist at first, but then when the other people are in the house, they honestly turn into the protagonist. So.
Like the protagonist as a whole, or what?
Well, yeah, I won't ruin it for you,
Okay.
but just it's stock like how you imagine any horror movie zombie thing is like people eventually all kind of centralize in one area. Not very many, but like shack up and then start, the whole like we need to figure out what we're gonna do because we have nothing that like we need to figure out because we're getting surrounded and but it's good. I'm not gonna ruin it, and it's a really good ending. It's messed up, but it's a good ending.
I heard, yeah.
Okay.
You don't want to do that closing thing?
Oh yeah, sorry.
You gotta leave that in there.
Yes,
You gotta leave that in
stay
there.
terrified.
Stay terrified.
Okay, so if you made it this far in the video, go ahead and If you made it this far in the video, we'd really appreciate it if you like, comment, subscribe, do all the algorithm stuff. It'll really help us out. But yeah, until then, stay terrified and y'all have a nice day.